Ciao Amici! Today is finally the time to prepare my favorite dish. We're gonna prepare risotto, and actually, considering I'm in Italy, I can prepare it with porcini mushrooms. That is to die for. Unfortunately, when I'm in the United States, I can't find the good porcini mushroom. I mean, actually, I find them when they're frozen, imported from Italy, because the taste of the mushrooms and the flavor that they have, it depends where they grow, from the dirt that they grow in, the wood, so it's completely different. You have to get them from Italy if you can. So we're gonna prepare the risotto starting by the preparation from the preparation of broth. I always make my own broth, and for the porcini mushroom risotto you can use a vegetable broth if you want. If you want, you can use a chicken broth, a meat broth, whatever you prefer. So for this time I'm just gonna keep it easy, and I'm gonna get some water, and then I'm gonna add celery, carrot, and onion. I'm gonna just use half an onion, so I'm gonna start cutting this. And the other half, we're gonna use it for the soffritto, for the risotto later. We're gonna use our celery. I'm just gonna remove the end, and then I'm gonna break it. And then we're gonna use a carrot. So just cut it into chunks. And now we're gonna grab all the ingredients and we're gonna place them into the water. Okay? Here we go. And then we're gonna also add some coarse salt, okay? And we're gonna turn on the flame. And now we're gonna just let it simmer our broth very, very slowly. Usually when I prepare the risotto, I make the broth either in the morning if it's for the night, or I do it the day before. Like the slower and the lower flame you're gonna use it, the more flavor you're gonna get. So don't rush the broth, okay? And now we're gonna start preparing our risotto. Actually, we're gonna start the soffritto here. I'm gonna start just mincing some onion. You can use anything you like. If you wanna use like a yellow onion, a red onion, or the shallot, go for it, whatever you prefer. Today I'm gonna just use a white onion. Don't look at me for my knife skills, guys. Just don't chop out your fingers. I like to cut my onion super fine and then mince it, just roughly chop it on top, because I want it to melt into the olive oil when I make my soffritto. I don't want to find chunks of onion when I eat it. Same for the garlic, the few times I use it. Okay. Now. We're gonna add some extra virgin olive oil. How much? Just enough to cover the bottom. And then we're gonna add our onion. We're gonna let it cook very slowly again. Risotto is just a matter of patience. Don't rush it. Very slowly, we're gonna add some liquid, you're gonna see in a second. But even for the onion, we're gonna start simmering with the extra virgin olive oil, and we're gonna wait for it to start sizzling, okay? To add our next ingredient. Now it's the turn of our mushroom. So what I use today, so it's even easier for you to find. I'm sure that it's much easier in America or wherever you are in the world to find dry porcini mushrooms than fresh porcini mushrooms or frozen porcini mushrooms. So to make it easy, I use the same. What I did is these were dry. I just put it in a bunch of water for about 10 minutes, and now they're ready to go. So what I want to do, I'm just going to roughly chop them, and then I'm going to add it to my soffritto, okay, the extra virgin olive oil and onion that we have keep going there. And this is actually what I usually do when I prepare risotto. So whatever you want to add to your risotto, it can be asparagus, it can be seafood, it can be zucchini, anything. to make it easy, I start to cook my vegetables or any other ingredients I'm gonna make risotto with my soffritto. And then I'm gonna start adding the rice and toast the rice and add all the broth, but I'm not gonna use two different pot and pans. Just keep it easy, put it in one, and then keep adding the rice, okay? This is how we're gonna do it. So depending how you like it, you can leave your mushrooms bigger chunks, or you can cut it very small. When I was little, my mom was pureeing them because I didn't want to eat them. Now they are my favorite food. But she was like, put it in the food processor, kind of making a puree so I wouldn't find them inside of the risotto. So it's up to you. I like pretty small chunks, but not too small. And this is more or less the size of your chunks. Okay. Make sure your onion starts to sizzle, but not burning, okay? You never want to have burning onion or garlic in your soffritto. And now we're gonna just add our porcini mushroom to our soffritto that is sizzling beautifully. While our mushrooms are gonna keep cooking, we're gonna start mincing some parsley that we're gonna add to the mushrooms now. And then we're gonna add some fresh parsley at the end when the risotto is gonna be ready, okay? What I usually do is what my mom taught me when I was little. You have to know that when I was little, my mom was keeping me busy in the kitchen, giving me tasks that didn't make any sense. Like, she was making like cutlets, chicken cutlets or beef cutlets, and I had to beat up the egg. And she would say that it needed an hour beating up the egg because otherwise it was not ready. But it was not true. She just needed to keep me busy. So now when I beat the egg, I overbeat it all the time because I'm like, no, it's not ready. And same for the parsley. What she taught me is just to break all the leaves to make the stem at the same size. So you just save the leaves just like this. And you cut the stem off. And I never chop my parsley when it's dry because she taught me to wet it before. So very little things that are part of like the way I cook is because she just told me to do it that way, and I've been doing like that since. So you can do the same if you want. Okay. So you have your bouquet of parsley. I'm gonna just rinse it a little bit, and then I'm gonna mince it, okay? I'm gonna chop up the stems, and then I'm gonna just roughly chop it and mince it, okay? I'm just gonna save some for the end. And now I'm gonna put some of this on our mushrooms right now, okay? I'm gonna add some salt. And now I'm gonna start adding the rice, okay? Our mushrooms are gonna keep cooking together with our rice, and it's gonna take about like 15-20 minutes depending how fast the rice is gonna absorb our broth, okay? So today I'm gonna use carnaroli rice. I know that I'm for sure you're familiar with at least two kinds of rice to prepare risotto. There is arborio and carnaroli. Arborio has a little rounder grain of rice. This one is a little longer. Carnaroli cooks faster than arborio, but actually there's a third kind of rice that you can use to prepare risotto that is my favorite, but I'm in my mom's kitchen and she didn't have it. That is called Vialone Nano. Why do I love Vialone Nano? Because it stays al dente. And even if you are not the perfect chef making risotto, it gives you the room to make some mistakes. Let's put it that way, okay? We're gonna add carnaroli for today to our mushrooms. Then, what I'm gonna do, we're gonna put up our flame on high heat, the highest you can, so we can add our white wine. So you wanna pull the flame up because when you add the wine, you want the alcohol to evaporate. So it's just gonna add a little bit of flavor, and but you don't taste the alcohol. Like for example, I don't like wine at all, so when I cook it, I make sure that I put the flame up because I don't want to taste the alcohol. Here is our white wine. I use Prosecco most of the time because in my kitchen I always have Prosecco. But if you have like Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio, whatever you have, just don't use Moscato or Lambrusco that are like sweet wine, okay? I'm not a wine expert, but whatever wine leftover you have at home, keep it on the side and use it to cook. We're gonna add our wine. We're gonna leave our flame on high heat for a couple of minutes and then we're gonna lower it again. But this time we're gonna put it on medium flame, okay? Why our wine is gonna evaporate, I just wanna tell you a little bit about risotto, okay? It's funny because when people come into the store and they wanna buy rice to make risotto, they say, I'm here to buy risotto. And I always laugh because you cannot buy risotto. You can only buy the rice to make risotto because risotto is the way you cook the rice. It comes from the verb risottare. That means adding the liquid a little bit at the time to cook your rice. So many times in other culture, in other cuisines, what you do, you boil the rice and then you drain the water and you put it on the side or you put it away. For risotto, you're just gonna add a ladle of broth at the time. You're gonna have your rice boiling into that broth, so it's gonna absorb all the broth. And then when it's gone, and it's basically dry out, you're gonna add another ladle of broth, let it dry out, and then another ladle of broth, let it dry out. So your rice it doesn't have to be over covered, like just a little bit over the rice. I'm gonna show you the level of the liquid you wanna have in your pot. But this is how you cook the rice, and you're gonna add the liquid until your rice is fully cooked. You never wanna have mushy rice. You wanna have mushy rice into your risotto. It has to stay al dente. So the grains outside are gonna be cooked, but the inside you wanna always have to be a little crunchy, just enough, okay? Let's see how it's going here with our Prosecco. So as you can see, there's no liquid anymore. So we're ready to go and start adding the first ladle of broth, okay? One ladle at a time. So you give it a stir. and then you let it cook slowly, slowly, slowly. And you need to make sure that your broth is boiling. So the flame doesn't have to be too low, okay? It has always like you have to see bubbles coming from your pot when you have the rice inside. Okay. Can you see here, guys? So it's bubbling. This is what you want. And then the thing with risotto is that you can't like say, oh, okay, while it's sizzle or it's gonna boil, I walk away. I mean, you can walk away for 2 minutes, no more than that, and then you have to give it a stir, check on your broth, and add more. So the only thing with risotto is just patience, because you need to babysit it. It's not difficult. We are done. We're just gonna keep adding broth, stir it, until our rice is gonna be cooked. And we're gonna add a lot of parmigiano reggiano at the end that is gonna fix our flavor and add the deliciousness to our risotto. But this is the difficulty, I would say. For me, difficulty, nothing. It's just patience and time. And it's like, I would say 20 minutes in total. Now, our risotto is basically ready. And what we are missing is the last step, that is mantecatura, okay? So usually you can finish the risotto adding butter, a lot of butter. Usually when you go to a restaurant, they're gonna serve you risotto with a pile of butter at the end, and I try to skip it. The way I'm gonna make my risotto creamy, I'm gonna add the broth, a tiny bit of broth, and a lot of cheese. And I'm just gonna keep melting until it gets the perfect creaminess, okay? And I'm gonna show you how we serve risotto in Italy. So usually when I go to the United States for, to a restaurant and I get risotto, it's a mountain of rice that is very dry. In Italy, we don't do that. We serve risotto very flat on a plate, and we serve it in a way that it's called all'onda. That means that when you put the risotto on your plate, you have to be able to shake it and spread it all over. We're gonna do it together, okay? But let's start finishing our risotto. So this is what I have. There's no broth left. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add a little bit of broth, last broth I have, and then I'm gonna add a lot of cheese. This is parmigiano reggiano grated. I'm just gonna keep stirring until it's gonna completely melt. And our last ingredient is gonna be the fresh parsley we mixed before. And our risotto is gonna be ready to be served. Can't wait. It's time to eat it. I can't wait. This is my favorite dish. Porcini mushroom risotto. You have to try it. Enjoy. If you like the recipes you're watching and you would like to watch many more, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you make sure you're never gonna miss the next one. Subscribe!